Margaret Cahirlock, and I don't want to be an irritant to you, Minister, and I don't expect you to apologise for it again, but I think it is utterly shameful that the Minister himself, Paschal Donohoe, is not here today to take this session. I think that's an insult to the House. I understand it's because there's a Cabinet meeting, but when we asked during the recess about the timing of this, because it is being pushed through, and as Deputy Doherty said, we're going into this with a certain amount of blindness, which is not a very healthy state for people who are supposed to pass legislation to be in. But nevertheless, we accept the blindness on the basis of the urgency. And yet we were told in the recess that this has to be done and dusted, signed off by all Member States, backed up by legislation before it can be enacted. And still we don't have France, Estonia or Germany signed up to it. And they, we are told, will not do so till the end of this month. Well, we're sitting in this House till the end of this month, and I just want to put it on the record that I think it's utterly disgraceful that we're pushing it through today in this manner without proper scrutiny, without a proper sitting committee that can actually scrutinise and delve down into this very, very complex bill. Because the point was made about Germany looking for a lot of funding. Well, I have no particular axe to grind with Germany, but the experience in this country of the European Union and the banking system within Europe has left a bitter taste on our mouths, and for us to go into this without being able to scrutinise it properly, I think is very, very unwelcome, unfortunate, and may not be, at the end of the day, the most healthiest thing we've ever done in this Parliament. I just would like to also echo the question asked by Deputy Doherty. I don't think it was sufficiently answered. Will there be funding available to businesses that operate on both sides of the border, or are we excluding businesses because, as was said, people on the north side of the border were forced out of the EU against their will and suffered the same pandemic as the rest of us, and may straddle both sides of the border in terms of their economic activity, as workers have done, and were let down in terms of the COVID payment? Are we now saying that businesses who operate on both sides of the border are also going to be left out in the cold? That needs to be clarified. It's hugely important, as are many other questions that we have about this that will come to in other sections.
Good Deputy Minister. Cahir, look, thanks, Deputy Smith. And I know the frustration that you've echoed, and I appreciate it and I accept it. It's not a position that I'm exactly overly in awe with either, but I think there was an appreciation that the Business Committee set out to try and put in place the legislative agenda between now and the recess. This was identified as a priority piece of legislation. It was identified, is my understanding, I could be wrong, that it was identified as a priority piece of legislation in the absence of a Finance Committee. So it was in that context that it was taken, and it was the Business Committee did order the scheduling of it, and again, it's unfortunate. I just checked with the officials there again. If it's an Irish company that's owned, operated and registered and everything else here in this jurisdiction and trades in the north, it will be eligible, but it can't be owned, operated, registered and everything else, as I say, north of the border, because that's a different jurisdiction. In the same way as you're going to have Irish companies, SME companies that trade with the United Kingdom into the future, trading with the United Kingdom will not debar them from accessing the funding, but they have to be Irish companies, because this is a European Union mechanism and the United Kingdom will no longer be a European Union country.